Okay, in this video I'm going to be talking about this guitar. This is a Trent Model 1, and I imagine that for many of you Trent guitars is going to be a new name, so I'm going to be telling you all about this guitar in just a moment. But I want to start by playing a piece of music that I've put together to try and showcase some of the sounds of this guitar. So let's start with that, shall we? Tell you a bit more about Trent guitars then. And the man behind Trent guitars is Elliot Trent, and he's a guitar maker based in Dorset here in the UK. And he actually got in touch with me a year or so ago now. This was before the company had even launched properly, and said, I'm putting out my first guitar, would you be interested in trying it and maybe using it on your channel? And I took a look at some pictures and some early prototypes, and immediately it seemed like my kind of thing. It's the kind of cool looking offset style guitar. So I said, yeah, I'm interested. And I've been following his progress on social media over the past few months as he's launched the company and as he's built the first guitars. And this finally arrived 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I'm actually quite excited to be playing it for you today. impressions with this guitar is how light it is. And I've not actually weighed it, but it's certainly quite a bit lighter than my Jazzmaster and my Telecaster. And I think that's probably down to the type of wood used for the body, which is something called obeche wood. And that's not something I've heard of before, but it's a sustainable hardwood. And that's all part of Trent Guitar's overall eco-friendly kind of ethos, just using sustainable materials. And that's also true of the finish as well. It's a beautiful looking guitar. And the colour here is called Ben's Blue, which I think is Trent's take on Fender's Sonic Blue. And it's a water-based paint, so no chemical nasties in there. It's a very thin finish. I don't know how well this comes across on camera, but you can see the grain of the wood through the finish there. And the satin finish is nice too, especially if you do what I do, because it means you don't get any nasty reflections on camera. As far as the overall design goes, obviously we've got that offset Jazzmaster Jaguar thing going on. I think the body's a little bit smaller than my Jazzmaster, and also reminds me a little bit of a Telecaster as well. I don't know whether that's the layout of the controls or just the overall elegance of the design. And also somebody said to me that it reminds them of the St. Vincent guitar. It's not quite as drastically angular as that, I don't think, but I can see what they mean. Let me whiz you through some of the other main features of this guitar then. And I should say that this is a proper boutique handmade style guitar. And as far as I know, Trent Guitars is a one-man operation, and they're all built by Elliot Trent himself. I don't know how long that will continue to be the case if the company really takes off, which I think it deserves to do. As I said, this is a Model 1, and this particular Model 1 is the standard spec, though there are plenty of custom options. I think you can just look on the website or talk to Elliot Trent himself, and he will talk you through the various options that are available. As I said, the body on this guitar is made of obeche, and we've got a maple neck and a Bolivian rosewood fingerboard. Scale length on this is 25.5 inches. That's the standard Fender scale length. And the radius on this fingerboard is 12 inches. You can specify other radii should you wish, but I'm actually really enjoying this 12-inch radius. It's quite flat, it's nice and easy to bend. I don't really see that there are any disadvantages in having the 12-inch radius. I think some people say that chords are not so comfortable on flatter radiuses, but I've never found that to be the case personally. And down at this end we've got a pair of P90s. These are bare knuckle P90s, and the controls are nice and simple. Just got a three-way selector switch, volume and tone, and the bridge is a nice simple design. The strings actually go through the body on this guitar as they would on a Telecaster. So let's have some more sound, shall we? And today I'm playing through my Vox AC30. I'm running that quite clean, but I've got a selection of pedals as well, and I've tried to choose pedals that have got quite a natural sound, a transparent sound. That's the buzzword of the moment, so that the natural voice of this guitar can come through. Let's talk about P90s, and I've never really considered myself to be a P90 player. I think I've got a couple of guitars with P90s in them, but always been much more of a single coil kind of a person. Up until this point, I think this guitar may well convert me, because these two bare knuckle P90s do sound fantastic. And the cliche with P90s is to say that they're kind of the middle ground between single coils and humbuckers, but I think that's pretty true. And with this guitar in particular, you can get quite a lot of treble and brightness. You can really make it twang much as you would a Telecaster, but you've also got the warmth and the mid-range of P90s. And P90s for blues, P90s for rock, that's always going to work. But for me, the strongest association I have with P90s is punk. And you could definitely argue that P90s are the sound of punk when you think of all of the great punk players that have used guitars with P90s, from Pete Townsend, who was a kind of proto-punk, I suppose, through to, I think, The Clash. Mick Jones sometimes used P90s, Steve Jones from the Pistols, on through to Johnny Thunders and Paul Westerberg from the Replacements. And P90s definitely give you that punky, snotty, snarling kind of sound. So I'm just going to play a little bit more. I'm going to play around with the pickup selector so you can hear the different sound of these pickups. And you've really got three distinctive, very usable voices in this guitar: the bridge P90, the neck P90, and then both of them on together. So what kind of player is this guitar going to appeal to? Well, obviously we've got that jazz mastery offset thing going on, so people who are into alternative music, for want of a better term, are probably going to like this guitar. So if you're into indie or shoegaze, this guitar is certainly going to fit the bill there. But what surprised me most about playing this guitar is how versatile it is, and it really does work well with most styles. I mean, you heard how well it worked for blues and classic rock kind of tones. Also, the clean tones are great as well, so if you want a bit of jangle, or if you're playing poppier stuff or ambient stuff, it's also going to deliver. So that's the Trent Model 1, and I'm very much enjoying playing this guitar at the moment. Now, this is a sponsored video, therefore technically it is a hashtag ad, but I always try and be straight with people when that's the case, and opinions are always my own. I'm never told what to say. And this guitar is just right up my street, both in terms of the aesthetics and in terms of the sounds that it produces. I don't think I mentioned the price, which is currently around 1400 to 1500 British pounds. Might be a little bit more if you take some of the custom options. But if you ask me, that's a quite insanely low price for a hand-built guitar of this kind of quality. I paid more for my mid-range mass-produced Fenders, which in many ways don't match up to this guitar in terms of quality. And this is honestly one of the best new guitars I've played in quite some time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.